Welcome back for another Metro Monday, the fourth Monday show. This is January the 28th, 2013. This week we're going to be talking about news related to cameras, news related to our website.
Also our basic street photography kits.
And at the end we'll talk about if you need more than one camera body. That's all this week on the show. So welcome back for another Monday show. I'm Joe.
And I'm Mike.
And this week has been pretty quiet with respect to any announcements or any rumors. We really haven't had too much. Nikon still needs to release a successor to the D300S, which is a direct competitor to the 7D Mark II, which is going to be a direct competitor to 7D Mark II. We haven't heard too much about the 7D Mark II yet. All we've been hearing is 20 to 24 megapixels and stuff like that. But we haven't had a release date, really, and even CanonRumors.com, which we follow, has said that even second half of 2013. So while that's a little disappointing, I think we can understand why. There's a lot of development going on there. We did see that there's going to be 3 camera bodies from CanonRumors.com this year, which is pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting,
yeah. You have, I think, like we said in the last video for our 2013 predictions, expectations from Canon, you're going to see 7D Mark II, 70D, T5i.
Yeah.
Something
a lot more Rebels and stuff like that.
Yeah, the APS-C line needs a refresh and it needs a new sensor. So I think that's your 3 Canon camera bodies this year. And we also will see, from what they say, a new EOS M, which I think we also
I'm really excited to see that.
So hopefully more of a professional level. I don't think you'll see a full frame yet.
Yeah.
I don't think they're ready. I think they have a lot more work to do there, but definitely something with an EVF or a lot more features, faster autofocus, all the stuff that we're looking for. So expect that this year. But product announcement wise, we really haven't seen anything. And while there's a lot of stuff that needs to come out, we have to remember we're still only in the first month of the year. So there's a lot to happen here. CP Plus, I think in Japan this week, at the end of the week. So that'll be a lot to look forward to, see what happens there. If Nikon does something, if Canon does something, because the other is going to have to retaliate.
Yep.
So we hope to see a lot there. With respect to our site news this week, we have a new Pelican video that's out on the YouTube channel. Check that out. It's going to be the video right before that. It's the Pelican 1500 and the 1600 case. I talk about both cases, why we use them, and also a quick review of which one you should get, what kind of padding or inserts you should get for them. Check that video out. I think it's pretty good. It'll help you. Also, we have other things on the website that were put up. I think I put up some new pictures for hockey, which is pretty cool. Check those out.
Also, we're going to be taking a look at the Rokinon 8mm fisheye for your APS-C sensor camera. We're going to be doing the unboxing of it and also some first impressions of it.
I'm going to look forward to that, because, like I said last week, the Rokinon is a great lens. It's got great build quality. It's fully manual, but it's got great build quality, and actually you can also get it declicked for video, which I think a lot of people will really like. So that's what's going on this week.
In this segment, I'll be talking about street photography and the gear I use to shoot candid shots. So what I usually use is my Canon T2i with a basic 18-55 kit lens.
It's the ones that came with it, right?
Yeah. The 18-55 is not really a really great lens, but it is a good starter. It's the one that comes with the camera. I also use a Apteka battery grip, which you have seen an unboxing and a review for, I believe. Also, I really like to use my Rokinon 8mm fisheye.
I see that.
The 8mm fisheye I don't usually use all the time, but when I do, it's for like a really wide angle and something that I set up, like a building spread, or if I know something's going on, I can take a picture like that.
Yeah, this is a nice lens. I mean, the front element scares me, but
that's why we got.
That's why we got the protection plan on it, because I mean, it's not really protected well, but it does produce really nice images. And actually, this Rokinon was, I think, designed for APS-C, right?
Yeah, because if you shoot that on I would say a 5D Mark II or a 5D Mark III, you're going to see the tool on the side, the lens hood. It's not really designed for that. I think it's mostly meant for APS-C size sensors for people that are beginning to shoot with T2Is, T3Is, or a 60D type thing. Because I learned about it from watching skateboarding videos, and that's the way I found that lens. Because it's a cheap $250 range, cheaper starter lens, I would say.
But it's got great build quality.
Yeah.
I mean, if I don't want to compare it to the Canon 8 to 15 fisheye because it's optically it's probably 100 times better, and I don't know, it might not be, but I mean, build quality wise, the thing's built out of metal. not too much plastic. There's a little bit of plastic on it, but
it's got a metal mount. I mean,
it's got a metal mount on it, and the thing is really put together nicely. So I think it's a good lens, and like you said, it gives you a really neat perspective on the street. It really does, because it gives you that
huge wide angle.
Yeah, so you get a lot in that frame, which is nice, and this is something nice, especially when you're up close. You want to get a lot more, wide angle. I also read that the Super Bowl shooters, or even the football shooters,
use those in the pit when they're like taking the coin toss and stuff like that.
Yeah, they use these lenses when they're running up after the game, even after the celebrations and stuff, because they could be standing here and get everything a huge, perspective on the shot. So those are neat. Fish eyes are definitely nice for walking around.
When I use the 18-55, I meant to say, I usually shoot from the hip sometimes because it's a lot more convenient and it's less intrusive to the people that I'm taking pictures of also.
Yeah, yesterday we were in New York City taking pictures, and I think you'll see that in the site pretty soon.
Yeah.
So that's stuff that I don't think you used the Rokinon.
No, but I have previously in the city.
And we'll definitely put some images up of that, but I think you used the kit lens.
Yeah, I used the kit lens.
When I'm on the street, I like to use fast prime. So here I have the 24mm f2.8, but this is the old version. I think this is the 1998 version. Again, really good, solid build quality, which I'm going to do a video on in the future. It's got a metal mount, which is really nice. 2.8 is really nice. And I also have here the Nifty 50, the 50-1.8. This lens is great. I can't say enough good things about this lens. For how cheap this lens is, you cannot say enough good things about this lens. 1.8 aperture, 50mm is really nice. It's a good
like starter lens if you want to buy another lens.
Yeah,
once you get a DSLR, I would say.
I think this was the first lens I bought after I got the kit. So I mean, this is a great. And the nice thing about the 24 actually is if you multiply it by the 1.6 crop factor,
it's around 35 or 40, right?
Yeah, your field of view is equivalent to the 38mm, I think it is, or something like that. So that's really nice about that too for shooting on the street. So fast primes for me. You get that background separation on the fast primes with the much bigger aperture opening, compression in your images, which is also really nice, and that's what I like to shoot. A lot of people say like to use a zoom on the street, but you could always
use your feet. Yeah, you could use your feet.
You could always foot focus, which I like to do. So that's basic stuff we like for the street. I also shoot the T2i gripped for extra battery life, and I think the only other thing that I would recommend is memory cards.
A lot.
Yeah. Take a lot of memory cards with you, because the last thing you want is to have a memory card error on your camera and not have another card on you. I mean, it's one thing to corrupt images on the card that you have in the camera, but it's another thing to not have another camera to pop into the camera, which could be a big problem, because if you're out there, that's it.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, you don't want to go to a corner store and pay $200 for
a cheap little
4 GB card. Yeah. So make sure you have them on you. They're cheap on Amazon. Maybe I'll put a link in the description for the cards that we use. Check out that link in the description. Memory cards are cheap nowadays.
Yeah.
Stock up on them. So in our last segment today, I think we're going to talk about camera bodies. One body to rule them all, kind of like Lord of the Rings. Is there going to be one camera body that you're going to have with you that maybe you even purchase 2 of them, one of them being a backup camera, but I'm talking about one body that's going to do all of your wedding, your landscape, your studio work, your sports photography, one body that's going to do everything. We're seeing now from Canon especially, and even Nikon, we're seeing this dividing, between the full frame and the APS-C sensors. Is it going to get to the point where, full frame is going to be everything? What do you think?
I really hope that it could be, because I know, starting off as an amateur photographer, you have to go into the APS-C because it's a lot cheaper. And it's the way you learn. You have to do it. I mean, but once you make that step into doing, you want to become an actual photographer and you want to be getting that great shot out there, you got to move up to the full frame.
But I mean, is APS-C cheaper because it's mass produced, or is it cheaper because of the manufacturing technology? And I think that if Canon can figure out a way to manufacture these things at the same rate that they could manufacture the APS-C sensors, I think it becomes the same price. I'm sure right now, business model-wise for Canon, they don't want to be selling an $850 full-frame camera. I know they don't want to do that, because, I mean, if we look at the sensor in the 6D, I mean, it's arguably better than the 5D Mark III. And it's really the sensor that should have been in the 5D Mark III with the autofocus that the 5D Mark III has from the 1D series family. But, it could get to the point where we see that full frame be the one thing for all. we kind of saw it with the 1DX. They took the 1D series, the 1DS series, put them together. You have a lower megapixel count, but still have the speed with full frame, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, you could pump up to ISO 6,000, if not more, 25,000, and take these 1/1000th of a second shots during sports, which is crazy. I mean,
it's unreal.
It is, and even with the 1DC, right?
Yeah. The 1DC, from what the video he showed me online, I think it was on Vimeo, but the interviews that they were talking with wedding photographers was they were saying that even the video photographers that were shooting weddings and doing events like that, they were using it and taking stills out of like a 4K camera, which is insane. So
if people that don't know, the 1DC is actually the 1D body with the 4K sensor, I would believe, of the C300.
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna get trolled on this. I don't know exactly which sensor it is, but it's between the C100 and C500. I think it's the C300 sensor. It's a 4K sensor, and so you have this 1D series body that you're taking 4K video with.
Yep.
You're in Adobe Premiere, and you pull one frame out, and that's your picture. And
it is beautiful shots too, like not
quality shots, not screen caps that you see here on YouTube. We're talking about quality shots, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And even one of the photographers, a world-class photographer, said this is going to change motion photography. Is it cheating?
Kind of, not really.
It's not really. I mean, because you still have to know which frame to pull out, right?
And you're there in the moment taking that yourself, and you're not stealing it from somebody else.
Yeah.
I think.
So I think in the future you'll see perhaps this APS-C go away. I mean, in the end, what is film and what was film? It's full frame.
It was full frame, yeah.
It's full frame. It's 35 millimeters wide, 24 millimeters high, the frame. And so this full frame really is, the going to be the future, and it's going to be everything. Right now, though, I think you'll see that a lot of people will have two cameras in their bag.
Yeah.
They'll have the sports shooter bag, that has the 7D Mark II or the 7D right now, your 1D Mark IV, which is really still the best sports camera, your 1DX, and your 5D Mark III is like your wedding, your portrait shooter. And a lot of people are now, even Canon shooters are carrying D800s because D800s are 36 megapixels. If you don't have the money to spend on that Hasselblad H5 or that 60 megapixel camera at medium format, you got to go with the D800, which is a great camera. It's a great sensor. Kudos to Sony on that one. You're doing a great job helping Nikon out. But it's definitely a great sensor. It's got a lot of noise at high ISOs, but that's not really what it's for.
Yep.
There's a lot of complaints for stuff that really shouldn't be. So we're seeing this clear divide between APS-C going one way and full frame going the other way. Hopefully they come back and they merge in the middle, I think, and we no longer have two camera systems that we have to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting to be a lot to be carrying around, especially with the lens difference.
Yeah.
You have EFS lenses on the Canon side. And I also think, too, that if they get rid of this APS-C lineup and are able to also make full frame cheaper, then we can get rid of EFS lenses. EFS lenses are horrible.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say that right off the bat.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, they pretty much are. Terrible.
Optically they're good, and you could still, don't get me wrong, you can take great shots. You could have better pictures. Good photographers can take better pictures with that kit lens
they can do anything.
than somebody with a $3,000 camera with a $10,000 lens. It's going to happen. But if these EFS lenses go away, now you have somebody starting out with a full frame camera,
with
buying EF lenses, and they don't have to worry about, when I upgrade to my next camera body, do I have to sell all these lenses?
Am I going to have to get all these new lenses that are so much expensive? And just...
Yeah, start it right from the beginning.
Yep.
I mean, even accessories like, flashes and stuff like that. I mean, start right from the beginning. So I'm hoping that it comes back together and we have one body that does it all in the future. Maybe it's, then it's an easier progression. I've always believed, that Canon and Nikon's guilty of this too. And even Sony's guilty of this, is there's too many bodies in the lineups. I mean, Canon, you have the 1DX, the 5D Mark III, the 6D. Then you have the 7D, the 60D, the T4i right now.
All those, yeah.
I mean, you have 6 camera bodies, and then the EOS M. I mean, the EOS M is kind of separate. We'll leave that out. You have 6 camera bodies. Why can't you just have 3? Low, mid, and high. And I think that needs to happen. It's going to reduce, production costs for Canon as well.
It would be a lot simpler that way too, I think, because it's just a lot simpler to have 3 cameras instead of having 6 and to having to do all the firmware updates, all the updates on everything, just like that too.
Yeah, repairs. I mean, everything. It goes down to everything. But I mean, I know what they're doing. They're trying to reduce the consumer surplus.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn that in economics. They're trying to make a camera body for every single person with different income levels.
Yeah, there's the soccer mom that wants like a T4i for video and taking pictures of their son when they're taking doing parties and stuff like that. And there's also the dad that wants to be able to take great family photos on vacation with a 5D Mark III.
Yeah, and there's also people with too much money that have a 1DX and a 400 2.8. So.
Yep. Everybody has their niche.
Yeah, so I guess Canon wants to make sure they have a camera body for everybody, but I think a lot is getting polluted there in between. So hopefully we'll see that in the future. We'll see where it goes in 2013. More camera bodies, more camera bodies, more camera bodies. We wouldn't have anything to talk about if they didn't. So that's Monday's show, number 4 in the books. We talked about a lot of stuff this week. We talked about news. We talked about street photography kits. We talked about the future of Canon and even Nikon and Sony, all the other companies coming back together, getting back to full frame and doing everything with one body. If you have any comments or suggestions, make sure you put them in the comments below. Comment on the video. Let us know what you think. Do you have different feelings about what's going to happen in the future with these camera bodies? What do you use when you're shooting on the street? Tell us what's in your kit, and we really like to know about it. Also, if you'd like to know or see of anything in next week's show, we'd love to share it with you.
Make sure you subscribe to see all of our content in the future, and also to like the video if it helped you out, if you liked it. Also, below, make sure you follow us all on our social links like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
So again, thank you for watching this week. We'll hope to see you again next week.